All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to NWTRCC's 40th anniversary conference. We're excited to be able to have this opportunity to bring together so many folks and for everyone to be able to join us this evening and hear some songs and celebrate and share some stories. First, we're very thankful to have Charlie King joining us tonight to sing some songs for us, and afterwards we'll be passing it on to hear some stories from our previous coordinators, and then lastly opening it up to all for people to share their own stories. So I'm sure he needs no introduction, but just in case, Charlie King is a musical storyteller and political satirist. He sings and writes passionately about the extraordinary lives of ordinary people. Pete Seeger hailed him as one of the finest singers and songwriters of our time. Charlie has been at the heart of American folk music for over half a century and has been writing songs for over the past 45 years. His songs have been recorded and sung by other performers such as Pete Seeger, Holly Near, Ronnie Gilbert, Arlo Guthrie, Peggy Seeger, Chad Mitchell, and Judy Small. About Charlie King, Billboard wrote, "With encouraging regularity, Charlie King emerges from his self-reflection to remind us of the happy resilience of the human spirit." So all that to say, thank you for being with us, Charlie, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Lincoln. So time for me to emerge from my self-reflection. All right. I thought I'd start with a song from England by a wonderful songwriter, Robb Johnson. There's always the money for missiles and tanks. There's always the money for filling the ranks. There's always the money for new ways to kill, but a limited budget for you if you're ill. Yes, there's always enough for a war, but there's never enough for the poor. There's always the money to bail out the bank, to rescue the wealthy, the check's always blank. There's always a tax cut for bottomless greed, but never enough for those most in need. And there's always enough for a war, but there's never enough for the poor. There's always a windfall for Congress to catch, for Cadillac health plans and pensions to match. There's always a jackpot when their hand is dealt, while most of the rest of us tighten our belt. But there's always enough for a war, so there's never enough for the poor. Consider the little of life that we know. We bring nothing, take nothing, pass through and go. We're all of us poor when it comes to the night, in need of the darkness, in need of the light. If we'd learn to want less and love more, there'd be enough for the poor. Because there's more than enough for us all. Robb Johnson. And here's an older song, and I'm sure a lot of us remember it, from the build-up of the Vietnam War. Buffy St. Marie took a good look at that and decided one night she was on the road. She wrote this song fairly quickly, but it's had a long life. I was a little suspicious of it when I first heard it, maybe from her, maybe from Donovan. He popularized it, but over the years I've really come to trust it and accept its truth. He's 5'2" and he's 6'4". He fights with missiles and with spears. He's all of 39 and he's only 17. He's been a soldier for 1,000 years. He's a Catholic, a Hindu, an atheist, a Jain, a Buddhist and a Baptist and a Jew. And he knows he shouldn't kill, and he knows he always will kill you for me, my friend, and me for you. He's fighting for Canada. He's fighting for Spain. He's fighting for the USA. And he's fighting for the Russians, and he's fighting for Ukraine. And he thinks he'll put an end to war this way. Oh, he's fighting for democracy. He's fighting for the Reds. And he says it's for the peace of all. He's the one who must decide who's to live and who's to die. And he never sees the writing on the wall. But without him, how could Hitler have condemned them at Dachau? Without him, Caesar would have stood alone. He's the one who gives his body as a weapon of the war. And without him, all this killing can't go on. He's the universal soldier, and he really is to blame. His orders come from far away no more. They come from him and you and me. And brothers, can't you see? This is not the way we put an end to war. Buffy St. Marie. And I'll finish off with a song that Chrissy suggested to me, and I think it was a good suggestion. I wrote it shortly after Pete Seeger died, and it was sort of written as a tribute to him, and it weaves together a lot of threads from some of his favorite songs and stories. But the chorus tells the story of how Pete thought change would happen in the world. He had an image of a seesaw in a community park, and on one end of the seesaw there's a bucket just riveted there, and it's full of rocks, and that seesaw doesn't go anywhere. At the other end of the seesaw there's a bucket there too, but it's empty. But every now and then somebody walks through the park and drops a spoonful of sand into the bucket, and people look and say, you know, what a fool. That'll never amount to anything. But every now and then someone else does it again. And then one morning people walk out and zoop, the seesaw has changed. And they'll look at it and say, how did that happen? And at that point, Pete would say, I did it. We did it with our spoonful of sand. And so that's the name of the song, Spoon of Sand, and it's pretty singable. It's hard to sing together on Zoom, but since you're all muted, what the hell, right? Spoon of sand can tip the balance. That's not even the right melody. Spoon of sand can tip the balance. Drops of water turn a mill. Way out there over the rainbow, someone standing singing still. You weathered the storm, you finished the race. We see by the weary smile upon your face, you've stumbled and risen. You sang up the dawn. You kindled the fire. You carried the torch. You're passing it on. Spoon of sand, spoon of sand, can tip the balance. Drops of water, turn a mill, turn a mill. Way out there, over the rainbow, over the rainbow. Someone standing, singing still. Dark clouds on the mountain, dead fish on the shore, the bottom line bankers, the vultures of war. You turn and you face them, and when push comes to shove, somehow you believe hate has to surrender, surrounded by love. Spoon of sand, can tip the balance. Drops of water, turn a mill. Way out there, over the rainbow. Someone standing, singing still. You charted the waters, saw the river run clear. You raised the sail when we thought the journey would end in despair. At the darkest hour, on the edge of the dawn, you caught the first light, gave us the vision to carry it on. Here's how we make change. Spoon of sand can tip the balance. Drops of water turn a mill. Way out there, over the rainbow, someone standing, singing still. Way out there, over the rainbow, someone standing, singing still. Thanks so much for inviting me. I wish I could spend the whole weekend with you, but weekends are hard to come by in my line of work anyhow. So good night and thanks so much.